photographer friend of mine who was doing some photographs for ID rang up and said, can you come along and interview these people? And I was very lucky, and when I was given that opportunity, I basically worked harder than I've ever worked before in my life. I think the greatest challenge for GQ was moving on and creating something over and above the brand principles. When I joined GQ, I knew that GQ was a sort of bastion of upmarket designer men's fashion, and what I wanted to do was bring journalism into that arena. And I think that 14 years later that we still continue to do that, and a lot of our competitors have drifted by the wayside. Obviously he's an extraordinary sportsman, and it was likely that it was going to be his year, but would people buy a magazine with Andy Murray on the cover? And someone said, let's set him on fire. Andy Murray on fire. And we said, fine, let's do it. I hired Boris Johnson to be our motoring correspondent because he'd written something in the Telegraph about test driving a car, and it was incredibly funny. And I rang him up and I said, would you like to be our car correspondent? And he just laughed and said, no. So I took him for lunch and convinced him that this was a fantastic idea. We put Boris Johnson on the cover in January, and it sold fantastically well. Brilliant. I think men's fashion is probably more important now than it's ever been before. London is great because London has the heritage of Savile Row. We invented the suit. We've invented every youth cult since the Edwardians onwards, through punks, mods. Everything was born here. And now you have a really thriving menswear scene where the designers probably are more creative than they've ever been before, but also they have a real business sense. I think what's happened to Victoria now is extraordinary, because I think the gentrification of Victoria is long overdue, and I think it's brilliant that brands like Tom Ford, Burberry and Armani are moving here. It's great.